Hi! Today we're going to take a fascinating journey through time and discover 20 surprising facts about the history of money. From ancient salt payments to digital currencies, the story of money is full of unexpected twists. Let's dive in. 1. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid with salt because it was so valuable for preserving food. That's where the word salary comes from. Imagine being a Roman soldier marching across the empire, and instead of coins, you receive a bag of salt as your payment. In ancient Rome, salt was incredibly valuable, not just for flavor, but for preserving meat and fish, which was essential before refrigeration. The Latin word for salt is sal, and the payments made to soldiers were called salarium. Over time, this word evolved into salary, the term we use today for regular payment. So next time you get your salary, remember you're part of a tradition that started with salt. 2. Long before coins, people in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific Islands used cowrie shells as money because they were rare, beautiful, and easy to carry. Before metal coins or paper bills, many cultures needed something portable and valuable to use for trade. Cowrie shells, with their shiny, smooth surfaces and unique shapes, became a form of currency in places like Africa, India, and the Pacific Islands. They were hard to find, which made them precious, and their beauty made them desirable. In some regions, cowries were used for centuries, and even today, they're a symbol of wealth and good luck. 3. On the island of Yap in Micronesia, people used giant stone discs called rye stones as money. Some weighed hundreds of kilos and never moved. Only ownership changed. Imagine using a stone as big as a car to buy something. On Yap, a small island in the Pacific, people carved huge stone discs called rye stones. Some were so massive that they stayed in one place for generations. When someone bought something expensive like land or a dowry, the ownership of the stone would change, but the stone itself might never move. Everyone in the community simply knew who owned which stone. It's a unique example of how money doesn't always have to be portable. 4. The first paper money appeared in China over 1,000 years ago, during the Tang Dynasty. Europe only started using paper money centuries later. While Europe was still using coins, China was already printing paper money as early as the 7th century. Merchants and travelers found it much easier to carry lightweight notes than heavy metal coins. The government would guarantee the value of the notes, making trade safer and more efficient. It took several hundred years before paper money caught on in Europe, showing how innovative China was in the world of finance. 5. In ancient Kievan Rus, the hryvnia was a silver ingot used for trade and taxes, not a banknote. Long before the modern Ukrainian currency, the hryvnia was a paper bill. It was actually a piece of silver shaped like a small bar or ingot. In Kievan Rus, these silver hryvnias were used to pay taxes, buy goods, and settle debts. Each ingot had a standard weight, making trade fair and reliable. It's a reminder that money can take many forms, from shells to silver bars. 6. In medieval Japan, rice was official currency. Samurai and officials were paid in rice, and taxes were collected in rice too. Rice storehouses were like banks, and rice receipts could even be traded like money. It's a great example of how essential resources can become currency. 7. The world's first ATM appeared in London in 1967. The first person to use it was an actor who played James Bond. The next time you withdraw cash from an ATM, think of its surprising origin. The very first automated teller machine was installed in London in 1967. The first person to use it was Reg Varney, a British actor famous for playing in the TV series On the Buses. And, fun fact, he once played James Bond in a comedy sketch. The ATM revolutionized banking, making it possible to get cash anytime, day or night. 8. In colonial America, tobacco and corn were used as money. You could buy a cow with just a few bags of tobacco. Before the US dollar existed, American colonists used what they had, tobacco and corn, as money. These crops were valuable, easy to measure, and widely accepted. In Virginia, for example, you could pay taxes, buy land, or even purchase a cow with bags of tobacco. It shows how money can be anything that people agree has value. 9. Credit cards have only existed about 70 years. Before that, people used cash or checks for everything. It's hard to imagine life without credit cards, but they're a recent invention. The first universal credit card, Diners Club, appeared in 1950. Before that, people paid for everything with cash or wrote checks. Credit cards changed shopping forever, making it easier to buy now and pay later, and paving the way for today's digital payments. 10. In ancient Egypt, grain was used as money, and people even paid their taxes in wheat. In the land of the pharaohs, grain was so important that it became currency. Ancient Egyptians stored grain in huge granaries, and people paid taxes and wages in wheat or barley. Grain receipts could be traded just like money. This system helped keep the economy stable even during hard times. 11. The first US dollars were silver coins, not paper bills. Paper money became common much later. When the United States was founded, the first dollars were heavy silver coins, modeled after the Spanish dollar. Paper money didn't become widespread until the Civil War, when the government needed a way to pay for expenses. Today, we take paper bills for granted, but for early Americans, coins were king. 12. The first plastic banknotes appeared in Australia in 1988. They last much longer than paper ones and are harder to counterfeit. Australia led the way in making money more durable and secure. In 1988, they introduced the world's first plastic banknotes, which are waterproof, tear-resistant, and packed with security features. Many countries have followed Australia's example, and now billions of people use plastic notes every day. 13. In some African countries, mobile money is more popular than cash. People use their phones to pay for almost everything. In places where banks are scarce, mobile phones have become wallets. Services like M-Pesa in Kenya let people send money, pay bills, and shop using just their phones. For many, mobile money is safer and more convenient than carrying cash, and it's helping millions join the modern economy. 14. In ancient Greece, coins with images of people appeared. Before that, coins only had symbols or animals. The Greeks were the first to put portraits of real people, usually rulers or gods, on their coins. Before that, coins featured animals, plants, or abstract designs. These portraits helped spread the fame of leaders and made coins more recognizable. Today, almost every country puts famous faces on their money. 15. The word bank comes from the Italian banco, meaning bench, because money changers did business sitting on benches in the marketplace. In medieval Italy, money changers set up shop in busy marketplaces sitting on benches called bancos. They exchanged currencies, lent money, and kept accounts. If a banker went bankrupt, his bench was broken, literally. That's where we get the words bank and bankrupt. 16. In medieval Europe, coins were often melted down and recast into new ones, especially when kings changed. When a new king took the throne, old coins were often collected, melted, and turned into new coins with the new ruler's face. This helped to assert the king's authority and control the money supply. It also meant that coins changed appearance frequently, making old coins rare and valuable today. 17. Bitcoin, the world's first cryptocurrency, was created in 2009. Now, money can be completely digital. In 2009, an unknown person or group using the name Satoshi Nakamoto launched Bitcoin, the first decentralized digital currency. Unlike traditional money, Bitcoin isn't controlled by any government or bank. Transactions are recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain. Today, thousands of cryptocurrencies exist, and digital money is changing the way we think about value. 18. In some South American cultures, cocoa beans were used as money. You could buy food, clothes, or even pay taxes with them. The ancient Maya and Aztec civilizations valued cocoa beans so highly that they used them as currency. You could buy a turkey for 100 beans or a cup of hot chocolate for just a few. Cocoa beans were so important that counterfeiters even made fake ones out of clay. 19. The first bank checks appeared in Iran in the 9th century. They made it easier to transfer large sums without carrying cash. Carrying large amounts of money was risky, so Persian merchants invented the check, a written order to pay someone from your account. These early checks, called sak, made trade safer and more efficient, and the idea quickly spread to other parts of the world.
20. In North America, animal fur was so valuable that you could buy a cup of coffee or even land with it. During the fur trade era, beaver pelts and other animal furs were as good as gold. Trappers and traders exchanged furs for goods, food, and even land. In some places, prices were listed in beaver rather than dollars or pounds. The fur trade shaped the history and economy of North America for centuries. Which fact surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the amazing history of money. See you next time.